A maid saved a drowning boy from certain death. What she didn't expect was the child's father, a dangerous man who controls an empire built on secrets and power, to change her life forever with 3 words she couldn't refuse. One heroic moment, one impossible choice, a world where loyalty is everything and leaving means risking it all. If you're new here, subscribe and comment your location. Now let's begin. Alina Santos knew the rules. Keep your head down, don't ask questions. Clean what you're told to clean, stay invisible. She'd been working at the Moretti estate for exactly 1 month and 3 days. The mansion sprawled across 12 acres of perfectly manicured gardens, with marble floors so shiny you could see your reflection. Alina scrubbed those floors every morning at 5. She dusted the shelves in the library that nobody read. She polished silverware that nobody used. And she never, ever spoke to Dante Moretti. The boss of the house was a ghost to people like her. He moved through rooms like smoke, always surrounded by men in black suits who talked in low voices. Elena had seen him exactly 4 times. Each time, she'd pressed herself against a wall and looked at the floor until his footsteps faded away. The other maids whispered about him in the kitchen, how he'd built his empire from nothing, how people disappeared when they crossed him, how his wife had died 3 years ago and he'd never been the same. Elena didn't want to know, she just wanted her paycheck. But there was one person in the house she couldn't ignore, Leo Moretti, 5 years old with dark curls and his mother's green eyes. The boy wandered the mansion like a little ghost himself. He had a nanny, Miss Patricia, but she was old and spent most of her time in her room. Leo was alone a lot. Elena saw him sometimes, sitting on the grand staircase with a toy car, or standing at windows looking out at the gardens. He never smiled. For a 5-year-old, that seemed wrong. The estate had an infinity pool. It stretched along the back terrace, glittering blue against the sky. Elena cleaned the pool house every Thursday. She'd noticed the signs posted everywhere. No swimming without supervision. Pool closed to household members. Danger, deep water. She'd asked another maid about it once. The woman, Rita, had pulled her aside and whispered fast, "The boy can't swim. Mr. Moretti forbids anyone to go near that pool with Leo around. He's terrified the kid will fall in. After what happened to Mrs. Moretti, well, just stay away from it." Elena had nodded, one more rule to follow. It was a Tuesday afternoon when everything changed. Elena was cleaning windows on the 2nd floor in one of the guest rooms nobody used. The window overlooked the back terrace and the pool. The sun was bright, the water looked like glass. And then she saw him. Leo. The boy was walking along the edge of the pool, dragging his toy car on the ground. He was alone, completely alone. Elena's heart jumped. She looked around the terrace. Where were the guards? Where was Patricia? Where was anyone? Leo stopped at the deep end. He bent down to push his car along the wet tiles. Elena dropped her cleaning rag. She pressed her face to the window. The boy's foot slipped. 1 second he was there. The next second he was gone, just a splash. The toy car skittered across the tiles and fell in after him. Elena didn't think, she ran. She exploded out of the guest room, her shoes pounding on the marble floors. She flew down the hallway, taking the stairs 3 at a time. A guard at the bottom shouted something, but she didn't stop. She crashed through the terrace doors, her lungs burning. The pool was right there. She could see Leo under the water, his little arms flailing. He was sinking. His clothes were pulling him down. His mouth was open. Elena didn't stop at the edge. She didn't take off her shoes. She just jumped. The water hit her like ice. Her uniform ballooned around her legs, trying to drag her down too. But Elena had grown up in a coastal town. Her father had been a fisherman. She'd learned to swim before she could walk. In high school, she'd been on the swim team, won medals at regional competitions. The water was her element. She kicked hard, driving herself down. Her fingers caught Leo's shirt. He was panicking, thrashing. His eyes were wide with terror. She wrapped one arm around his chest and kicked for the surface. It felt like miles. Her lungs screamed. The wet uniform was like chains, but she kept kicking, kept pulling, kept fighting. They broke the surface. Leo coughed, water streaming from his mouth. Elena gasped for air and swam for the edge, dragging the boy with her. She reached the side, shoved Leo up onto the tiles, then hauled herself out after him. Leo was coughing hard, water coming up. Elena rolled him on his side, supporting his head. "Breathe," she said. "Just breathe, Leo. You're okay. You're safe." The boy coughed again, then sucked in a huge breath. He started crying. Big, scared sobs. Elena pulled him into her arms, holding him tight. "You're okay," she whispered. "You're okay now." "What the hell is going on?" The voice cut through everything. Cold, sharp, dangerous. Elena looked up. Dante Moretti stood on the terrace, flanked by 4 guards. He was staring at the pool, at Leo, at Elena. His face had gone white. Actually white, like he'd seen a ghost. For a second, nobody moved. Then Dante was running. He dropped to his knees beside them, his hands hovering over Leo like he was afraid to touch him. "Leo, Leo, can you hear me?" The boy turned his head, tears streaming down his face. "Papa," he sobbed. Dante grabbed him, pulled him close, buried his face in his son's wet hair. His shoulders were shaking. Elena realized with a shock that he was crying. Silently, but crying. She started to back away, give them space. This was private. But Dante's hand shot out and grabbed her wrist. His grip was iron. His eyes locked on hers, and they were terrifying. Dark and wild and full of something Elena couldn't name. "You saved him," Dante said. His voice was rough, barely controlled. "He fell in," Elena whispered. I saw him fall." "Where were the guards?" Dante didn't look away from her. "Where the hell were my guards?" One of the men in black suits stepped forward, his face pale. "Sir, we were monitoring the east entrance. The perimeter cameras were being serviced and we—" "Get out." Dante's voice was soft. That made it worse. "All of you, get out of my sight before I put bullets in your heads." The guards scattered like leaves. Dante looked back at Elena. His hand was still locked around her wrist. Leo was still pressed against his chest, crying softly. "What's your name?" Dante asked. "Elena Santos, sir." "How long have you worked here?" "A month, sir." "And you can swim?" "Yes, sir. I grew up by the ocean. I was on a swim team in school." Dante's jaw clenched. He looked at his son, then back at Elena. Something shifted in his expression. Something hard and final, like a door slamming shut. "You're never leaving," he said. Elena blinked. "Sir." "You heard me." Dante stood up, lifting Leo with him. The boy wrapped his arms around his father's neck, still shaking. "You just saved my son's life. You did what a dozen trained guards couldn't do. You're never leaving this estate." "I don't understand." "You're fired as a maid," Dante said. He was looking at her like she was the only person in the world. "As of right now, you're Leo's personal guardian. You'll live in the family wing. Your salary is 5 times what it was. You'll have full access to the house, the cars, the accounts, whatever you need." Elena's head was spinning. "Mr. Moretti, I can't." "Yes, you can." His grip on her wrist tightened. Not painful, but firm, final. "I'm not asking, Elena. I'm telling you. You're the only person in this house who gave a damn about my son today. You're the only one I trust now." He turned and walked toward the house, still carrying Leo. But he didn't let go of Elena's wrist. He pulled her with him, dripping water across the terrace. "Sir, my clothes." "I'll have new ones brought to your room. The master guest suite, 3rd floor, west wing." "But I don't know how to be a guardian. I'm just a maid." Dante stopped walking. He turned to look at her, and his eyes were fierce. "You jumped into a pool to save a drowning child. You didn't hesitate. You didn't think about the rules or your job or anything else. You just acted. That's all I need to know about who you are." Elena opened her mouth, then closed it. What could she say to that? Dante started walking again. There are things you need to understand about this house, he said quietly. About my life, about the dangers Leo faces. But right now, all that matters is that my son is alive because of you, and I don't forget debts like that. They entered the mansion through the terrace doors. Staff members scattered when they saw Dante's face. He didn't acknowledge any of them. He just kept walking, pulling Alina along, carrying Leo. They climbed the grand staircase. The third floor was different from where Elena had worked. The floors here were carpeted, thick and soft. The walls had real paintings, not prints. Everything smelled like expensive wood and leather. Dante stopped at a door and kicked it open. The room beyond was huge. A four-poster bed, tall windows, a sitting area with a fireplace. Elena's entire apartment back in the city could fit in here twice. "This is yours now," Dante said. He finally let go of her wrist. "There's a bathroom through that door. Clothes will be delivered within the hour. Leo's room is 3 doors down on the right. My room is at the end of the hall." He paused, adjusting his grip on Leo. The boy had stopped crying, but his face was pressed against his father's shoulder. "There's a phone on the nightstand," Dante continued. "It's a direct line to my cell. If Leo needs anything, if you need anything, you call. Day or night, I don't care what time it is." "Mr. Moretti." "Dante," he looked at her. "You're not staff anymore, Elena. Your family, call me Dante." The word family hit her like a punch. She'd been alone for 3 years, ever since the accident that took her parents. She'd had nobody. Now this man, this dangerous man she barely knew, was telling her she was family. "I need to change Leo's clothes," Dante said. "Get him warm. Then I need to deal with the security team that failed today." His expression darkened. "After that, we'll talk, really talk, about what happens next." He carried Leo toward the door, then stopped and looked back at her one more time. "Thank you," he said softly, "for my son, for everything." Then he was gone. Elena stood in the middle of her new room, dripping water on the expensive carpet, her mind reeling. What had she just gotten herself into? An hour later, she was clean and dry, wearing clothes that fit perfectly. Designer jeans, a soft sweater, comfortable shoes, all delivered by a quiet woman who'd knocked once and left the packages on the bed. Elena had showered in a bathroom bigger than her old bedroom. Marble everywhere, towels so thick and soft she wanted to wrap herself in them forever. She dried her hair, braided it, tried to calm down. But her hands were still shaking. There was a knock at the door. Elena jumped. "Come in," she called. The door opened and Dante walked in. He changed too. Dark jeans, black shirt, his hair still damp. He looked tired and something else. Vulnerable, maybe. "Leo's asleep," he said. "Patricia gave him warm soup and put him down. He asked for you." Elena's throat tightened. "He did." "He wanted to make sure you were okay, that you weren't in trouble." Dante's mouth quirked, almost a smile. "I told him you were a hero, that you'd be here when he woke up." "I will be." "I know." Dante walked to the window, looking out at the grounds. "I need to explain some things to you, about who I am, what I do, why Leo is always in danger." Elena sat down on the edge of the bed. "You don't have to." "Yes, I do." Dante turned to face her. "You're going to be protecting my son. You need to know what you're protecting him from." He took a breath. When he spoke again, his voice was different, harder, more honest. "My family has been in this business for 4 generations," he said. "We control shipping, imports, real estate. Some of it's legal, most of it's not. We have enemies, rivals, people who would kill Leo just to hurt me." Elena felt cold. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I'm not going to lie to you, not after what you did today." Dante crossed his arms. "The Valenti clan has been pushing on our territory for months. They want what we have. They've tried negotiations, bribes, threats. Nothing's worked. Now they're getting desperate." "And Leo?" Leo is the heir, he's my weakness. Everyone knows it. Dante's jaw clenched. My wife, Maria, she died 3 years ago, car accident, but it wasn't an accident. The brakes were cut. Someone wanted to send me a message. Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Oh my God. I've kept Leo locked up here ever since, protected, guarded, but I can't watch him every second. And today, Dante's voice cracked, just for a second. Today I almost lost him anyway, because I trusted the wrong people. He walked over and sat down beside her on the bed, not touching but close. His presence was overwhelming. You didn't hesitate, he said quietly. You didn't think about yourself, you just saved him. That's rare. In my world, that's almost impossible. I'm not special, Elena whispered. Anyone would have done the same thing. No, Dante looked at her and his eyes were intense. They wouldn't have, trust me, I know. They sat in silence for a moment. Elena could hear her own heartbeat. What do you want me to do? She asked finally. Keep him safe, be with him, teach him, Dante paused, and stay alive, because now that the Valentis know you're important to Leo, you're a target too. Elena felt the weight of that settle on her shoulders. I don't know how to fight, I'm just. You're not just anything, Dante stood up. Starting tomorrow, you'll train with my security team. Basic self-defense, weapons handling, threat assessment. You'll learn how to protect yourself and Leo. Weapons, Elena's voice came out high. This is the life now, Elena. I'm sorry. But if you're going to be in this house in Leo's life, you need to be prepared. He walked to the door, then stopped. There's one more thing, he said. You asked me earlier why I'm doing this, why I'm giving you all of this. Yes. Dante turned to look at her. His expression was raw, honest in a way that scared her. Because when I saw you pull Leo out of that water, when I saw you holding my son and telling him he was safe, I realized something. For the first time in 3 years, I felt hope, real hope, that maybe Leo didn't have to grow up alone, that maybe there was someone who actually cared. Elena couldn't breathe. You're not leaving, Dante said again. Not because I'm forcing you to stay, but because I'm asking you to. Please, stay. Help me keep him safe. Help me give him a life that's more than just fear and guards and locked doors. I'll stay, Elena heard herself say. I'll stay. Dante nodded, just once. Then he left, closing the door softly behind him. Elena sat on the bed in her new room, in her new life, and wondered what she'd just agreed to. But when she closed her eyes, all she could see was Leo's face, his scared eyes, his small hands reaching for her. She'd stay because that little boy needed her. And maybe, just maybe, she needed him too. The next 3 weeks changed everything. Elena moved into Leo's life completely. She woke him up every morning at 7. She made him breakfast, pancakes with chocolate chips that made him smile. She played cards with him on the floor of his room. She read him stories at night, sitting on the edge of his bed while he fought to keep his eyes open. And slowly, the sad little boy started to laugh. It happened the first time when Elena made funny voices during a story. Leo had giggled, then clapped his hand over his mouth like he'd done something wrong. Elena had tickled him gently and he'd laughed harder. A real laugh. The sound had brought Dante to the doorway, watching them with an expression Elena couldn't read. The training was harder. Every afternoon while Leo napped, Elena went down to the estate's private gym. A man named Marcus, head of security, taught her how to throw a punch, how to break a grip, how to use her size and speed instead of strength. You're not going to win a fist fight with a 200-pound man, Marcus said, but you can get away from one, and that's what matters, getting Leo away. They practiced scenarios. Someone grabs you from behind. Someone blocks your path. Someone has a weapon. Elena learned to go for eyes, throat, knees. Learned to run and not look back. Learned to protect Leo's body with her own if she had to. Marcus also taught her to shoot. The first time Elena held a gun, her hands shook so bad she could barely aim, but Marcus was patient. It's just a tool, he said. Like a hammer or a wrench, you hope you never need it, but if you do, you need to know how to use it. By the end of the third week, Elena could hit a target at 20 feet. Not perfect, but good enough. Dante watched sometimes. He'd stand at the back of the gym, arms crossed, just observing. He never interrupted, never commented, but Elena felt his eyes on her. Things between them were strange, formal but not cold. He asked about Leo every day, wanted to know what the boy ate, what he played with, what made him happy. Alina reported everything, and Dante listened like she was delivering the most important information in the world. Sometimes at night, after Leo was asleep, Alina would find Dante in the boy's room, just sitting in the chair by the bed, watching his son breathe. Alina would slip away quietly, giving him privacy. But once, Dante had looked up and caught her eye. "Thank you," he'd mouthed. Alina had just nodded. On the 23rd day, everything fell apart. It started with a phone call. Dante was in his office, door closed. Elena was playing with Leo in the family room, building a tower out of blocks. They were laughing because the tower kept falling over. Then Dante's office door slammed open. He came out fast, his face dark. "Marcus," he barked, "get the car ready. We need to move now." Marcus appeared from somewhere, already on his phone. "Sir, what's happened?" "The Valentis hit one of our warehouses, burned it to the ground, left a message." Dante's voice was ice. "They're escalating." Elena stood up, pulling Leo behind her. "What kind of message?" Dante looked at her. For the first time since she'd met him, she saw real fear in his eyes. "They know about you. They know you're Leo's guardian. They mentioned you by name." The room went cold. "How?" Elena whispered. Someone talked, someone inside. Dante's hands curled into fists. "I'm going to find out who, but first I'm getting you and Leo somewhere safe." "Where?" "I have a cabin up in the mountains, off the grid. No records, no paper trail. Only 3 people know about it, me, Marcus, and my late wife's brother James." Dante was already moving, heading for the stairs. "Pack light. We leave in 10 minutes." Elena grabbed Leo's hand. The boy looked scared, picking up on the tension. "Is Papa angry?" he asked quietly. "No, baby. He's just worried. We're going on a little trip." "Like a vacation." Elena forced a smile. "Yes, exactly like that." 10 minutes later, they were in a black SUV with tinted windows. Marcus drove. Dante sat in the passenger seat, phone pressed to his ear, speaking in rapid Italian. Elena and Leo were in the back. The boy had his favorite stuffed bear and was pressed against Elena's side. They drove for 3 hours, leaving the city behind. The roads got smaller, rougher. Trees closed in on both sides. Elena watched the landscape change, watched civilization disappear. Finally, they turned onto a dirt road that was barely visible. The SUV bounced over rocks and roots. Leo held onto Elena's hand tight. The cabin appeared through the trees. It was bigger than Elena expected. 2 stories made of dark wood with huge windows, solar panels on the roof, a generator humming somewhere. "This is it," Dante said. He got out, scanning the area automatically. Marcus did the same, one hand inside his jacket where Elena knew he kept a gun. "It's clear," Marcus said after a moment. They went inside. The cabin was furnished but simple. A main room with a fireplace, a kitchen, bedrooms upstairs. Everything was clean, like someone maintained it regularly. "James comes up here every month," Dante explained, seeing Elena's look. "Keeps it ready, just in case." "In case of what?" Elena asked. "In case I need to disappear." That night, after Leo was asleep in one of the upstairs bedrooms, Elena found Dante on the back deck. He was staring out at the dark forest, a glass of whiskey in his hand. "Can I join you?" she asked. He nodded. Elena sat in the other chair. The night air was cold. She wrapped her arms around herself. "I'm sorry," Dante said suddenly. "For what?" For dragging you into this, into my world. You saved Leo's life and I repaid you by making you a target. He took a drink. You should hate me. I don't hate you. You should. Alina was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "Can I tell you something?" "Anything." "Before I came to work at your estate, I was completely alone. My parents died 3 years ago, car accident. I had no siblings, no family. I was just existing, going through the motions." Dante looked at her. "Then I met Leo," Alina continued, "and I remembered what it felt like to matter to someone, to be needed. These past few weeks, taking care of him, watching him smile, I've felt alive again." "Elena." "So no," she interrupted. "I don't hate you. I'm grateful. Even with the danger, even with all of this, I'm grateful." Dante set down his glass. He leaned forward, elbows on his knees. "My wife, Maria, she died because of me, because of what I am, what I do. It wasn't your fault. Wasn't it?" His voice was bitter. "I chose this life. I built this empire. I made enemies, and she paid the price. You loved her. More than anything. When she died, I died too. The only thing that kept me going was Leo, knowing he needed me. But I've been failing him, Alina, keeping him locked up, surrounded by guards, never letting him be a kid. I've been so afraid of losing him that I forgot to let him live." Alina reached over and took his hand. He looked startled, but he didn't pull away. "You're a good father," she said firmly. "You're doing your best, and Leo knows you love him. That's what matters." Dante's fingers tightened around hers. They sat like that for a long time, holding hands in the dark, while the forest whispered around them. Over the next 2 weeks, something shifted. Without the mansion, without the guards and the rules and the constant tension, they became something different, something closer to a real family. Alina taught Leo to identify bird calls. They went on walks through the woods, collecting pine cones and interesting rocks. Dante came with them sometimes, carrying Leo on his shoulders when the boy got tired. They cooked meals together. Simple stuff, pasta and sauce, grilled cheese sandwiches. Leo helped stir and Alina made him laugh by pretending to be a fancy chef. Dante watched them, and sometimes Alina caught him smiling. Really smiling, not the cold expression he wore at the estate. At night, after Leo went to bed, Alina and Dante talked. Really talked. He told her about growing up in his father's world, learning the business young, trying to find a way to be better than the violence he'd inherited. She told him about her parents, about swimming competitions, about the dreams she'd had before everything fell apart. "What did you want to be?" Dante asked one night. They were sitting by the fireplace, Leo asleep upstairs. "A marine biologist," Alina said. "I wanted to study ocean life, protect endangered species, make a difference." "You still could." "Maybe, someday." She looked at him. "What about you, if you could be anything other than what you are?" Dante was quiet for a long time. "A teacher, maybe. History, I love history, the way everything connects, how the past shapes the future." He laughed softly. "Strange thing for someone like me to say." "Not strange, human." He looked at her then, really looked at her, and Alina felt something shift in her chest. Something warm and terrifying and inevitable. "Alina," he said quietly. "Yes." "I need you to know something. When this is over, when we go back to the estate, you're not my employee. You're not just Leo's guardian. You're—" He was interrupted by his phone buzzing. Dante grabbed it, his expression changing instantly. "Marcus," he answered. He listened, his face going dark. "When, how many, understood, I'm on my way." He stood up fast. "The Valentines are making their move. They're pushing on 3 of our key locations at once. I need to go back, handle this." "We're coming with you," Alina said, standing too. "No, you stay here with Leo, where it's safe." "Dante." "Please." He grabbed her shoulders, his grip urgent. "Please, Alina, stay here. Keep my son safe. I can't focus on what I need to do if I'm worried about you both." Alina wanted to argue, but she saw the fear in his eyes, the same fear she'd seen the day Leo almost drowned. "Okay," she whispered, "we'll stay." Dante pulled her into a hug. It was fast, tight, desperate. Then he let go and headed for the door. "I'll have Marcus send 2 guards to watch the cabin," he called back. "Don't open the door for anyone except me or someone who gives you the code word. The code word is starfish." "Starfish," Alina repeated. "I'll be back as soon as I can. 2 days, maybe 3. He paused at the door. "Alina, thank you for everything." Then he was gone. Alina heard the SUV start up, heard the tires on the dirt road, and then silence. She was alone with Leo in the mountains. The guards arrived 4 hours later. 2 men, Daniel and Paul. They checked the perimeter, confirmed the security measures, then positioned themselves outside. One by the front door, one by the back. Alina felt safer with them there. She checked on Leo, who was still sleeping peacefully, then went downstairs to make tea. She didn't sleep that night, just sat by the window watching the dark forest, waiting for dawn. The next day passed quietly. Leo wanted to know where Papa had gone. Elena told him there was business to handle at home, but Papa would be back soon. Leo seemed satisfied with that. They played games, read stories, made cookies that turned out burnt but Leo said were delicious anyway. The second night, Elena put Leo to bed early. He was tired from running around outside all day. She sang him a lullaby her mother used to sing to her. By the second verse, he was asleep. Elena went downstairs. It was just after 9. She made coffee, strong and black, and was bringing it to the living room when she heard it. A sound outside, like glass breaking. Elena froze. She set down the coffee carefully, listening hard. Another sound, a thud, heavy. She ran to the window. The guard who'd been at the back door, Paul, was on the ground, not moving. There was someone standing over him, someone in a dark mask. Elena's heart stopped. She ran to the front of the house. Through the window, she could see Daniel slumped against the wall, blood on his shirt. They'd found the cabin. Elena's training kicked in. She ran upstairs, fast and quiet, Leo's room. She grabbed the sleeping boy, wrapping him in his blanket. He stirred, confused. "SHH," Elena whispered. "We're playing hide and seek, baby. We have to be very quiet." She carried him down the hall to the room Dante had shown her on the first day. The panic room. She punched in the code with shaking fingers. The door clicked open. Inside was a reinforced space, maybe 10 by 10 feet, shelves with water and food, a phone, and on the top shelf a black case. Elena knew what was in it. Dante had told her, just in case. She set Leo down gently. "Stay right here, baby. Don't make a sound, no matter what you hear." "Elena," Leo's eyes were wide, scared. "I'll come back for you, I promise." She kissed his forehead. "I love you." She closed the panic room door and heard it lock. Leo was safe. The room was designed to withstand almost anything. Now she had to keep it that way. Elena grabbed the black case from the shelf before she'd closed the door. She opened it with trembling hands. Inside was a gun, the same model she'd trained with, loaded. She picked it up. It felt heavier than she remembered. She heard footsteps on the stairs, multiple people, at least 3. Elena positioned herself in the hallway just past the panic room door. If they wanted to get to Leo, they'd have to go through her. The first man came around the corner. Dark mask, big build, gun in his hand. Elena didn't hesitate. She fired. The recoil kicked her arm back. The sound was deafening. The man went down, grabbing his leg, screaming. 2 more appeared. They saw their friend on the floor, saw Elena. "It's the girl," one said, "the guardian." They raised their weapons. Elena dove into the nearest room, bullets chewing up the doorframe behind her. She rolled, came up behind the bed, fired blind through the doorway. Someone cursed. She'd hit something. "Fall back," someone shouted. "Regroup, she's armed." Alina's hands were shaking so hard she could barely hold the gun. She'd actually shot someone, actually pulled the trigger and hurt another human being. But when she thought of Leo, locked in that panic room, scared and alone, her hands steadied. She heard voices downstairs, arguing, then footsteps retreating, a door slamming. Silence. Alina waited. 5 minutes, 10. Her muscles ached from staying crouched behind the bed. Finally she heard it, a helicopter, the sound getting louder, closer, spotlights sweeping through the windows. Then gunfire, a lot of it, men shouting more shots. And then Dante's voice, loud and commanding. Secure the perimeter, find her, find my son. Alina stood up on shaking legs. She stumbled to the hallway. Dante, she called out, her voice cracked. Dante. Footsteps pounding up the stairs. Then he was there, Marcus right behind him. Dante's eyes found her and something in his expression broke. Alina. He crossed the distance between them in 2 strides. He grabbed her, his hands running over her arms, her face, checking for injuries. Are you hurt? Did they touch you? I'm fine. Leo's in the panic room. He's safe. Dante pulled her against his chest, holding her so tight she could barely breathe. She felt him shaking. I thought I'd lost you, he said into her hair. When Marcus told me the guards weren't responding, when we got here and saw the blood, I thought. We're okay, Alina whispered. I protected him. I did what you taught me. Dante pulled back enough to look at her face. His eyes were wet. You're incredible, you know that. You're the strongest person I've ever met. Then he kissed her. It was desperate and fierce and full of everything they'd been holding back. Alina kissed him back, her hands fisting in his shirt, pouring 3 weeks of fear and hope and longing into it. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Marcus cleared his throat. Sir, we need to move. More could be coming. Dante nodded. He kept one arm around Alina as they went to the panic room. He punched in the code and the door swung open. Leo was curled in the corner, eyes red from crying. When he saw his father, he launched himself forward. Papa. Dante caught him, holding him tight. I've got you, you're safe now. Leo turned his face toward Alina. You came back. You promised and you came back. Always, Alina said, touching his cheek. I'll always come back for you. They left the cabin that night. Marcus drove them back to the city in an armored SUV, flanked by 2 more vehicles full of guards. Alina sat in the back with Leo asleep on her lap and Dante's arm around them both. It's over, Dante said quietly. We caught the mole, one of my lower-level guys, Vincent. The Valentines paid him to give up the cabin location. Marcus is handling it. Alina knew what that meant. She didn't ask for details. What happens now? She asked instead. Now, Dante looked at her. Now we go home. I dismantle the Valentine operation piece by piece, and you and Leo stay safe while I do it. And after that, Dante's hand came up to cup her face. After that, we figure out what this is between us. Because Alina, after tonight, after watching you risk your life for my son, after almost losing you, he stopped, his voice rough. I can't pretend anymore. I love you. I think I've loved you since the moment you jumped in that pool without thinking twice. Alina's breath caught. Dante. You don't have to say it back. Not yet. I just need you to know. You're not leaving. Not because I'm making you stay, but because I'm begging you to. Stay with us. Help me raise Leo. Help me build something better than what I inherited. Help me be the man my son deserves to have as a father. Alina looked down at Leo, sleeping peacefully in her arms. Then back at Dante, this complicated, dangerous, broken man who'd given her a purpose again. I love you too, she whispered. I think I have for a while now. I just didn't want to admit it. Dante smiled. A real smile, the kind that reached his eyes and made him look younger. He leaned in and kissed her again, soft and sweet this time. We're going to be a family, he said against her lips. A real one. Yes, Alina agreed, we are. The next 3 weeks were war. Dante was gone most days, handling business Alina didn't ask about, but Marcus kept her informed of the basics. The Valentines were falling apart. 3 of their key leaders had been arrested in coordinated raids. Others had disappeared. Their operations were being absorbed by the Morty family or shut down entirely. It was brutal and efficient, and over surprisingly fast. Alina stayed at the estate with Leo, protected by twice as many guards as before. She kept the boys' routine as normal as possible. School lessons in the morning, playtime in the afternoon, stories at night. But Leo knew something was different. He asked about it one evening while Alina was tucking him in. "Is Papa in trouble?" the boy asked, his green eyes serious. "No, baby. Your Papa is making sure we're all safe. And you're staying, you're not going away." Elena stroked his hair. "I'm never going away, Leo, I promise." "Good," Leo yawned. "I love you, Elena." It was the first time he'd said it. Elena felt tears sting her eyes. "I love you too, sweetheart, so much." On the 21st day, Dante came home early. Elena was in the family room with Leo, working on a puzzle. When she heard the door, she looked up. Dante stood in the doorway looking exhausted but satisfied. "It's done," he said simply. "Done. The Valentines are finished. The ones who aren't in jail have fled the state. The families have agreed to peace terms. It's over." Leo jumped up and ran to his father. "Papa, can we go to the park now, without all the guards?" Dante laughed and picked him up. "Not quite yet, buddy, but soon, I promise." That night after Leo was asleep, Dante took Elena to his office. It was her first time inside. The room was all dark wood and leather, bookshelves lining the walls. Behind his desk was a painting, something old and expensive looking, a landscape with mountains. Dante walked to the painting and took it down. Behind it was a safe. He opened it, pulled something out, and turned to Elena. He was holding a small box. Elena's heart started pounding. "Before you panic," Dante said with a slight smile, "this isn't what you think it is. Not exactly." He opened the box. Inside was a set of keys and several black credit cards. "This is the key to my penthouse in the city," Dante explained. "And these cards are in your name, unlimited access. They're yours." "Dante, I can't." "Yes, you can, Elena. You're not an employee, you're not a guest, you're the woman I love, the woman who's going to help me raise my son, your family, and family gets access to everything." He set the box on his desk and took her hands. "I know we're doing this backward," he continued. "Most people date first, fall in love, then move in together and meet each other's kids. We've done it all out of order, but I don't care about order. I care about you. I care about Leo. I care about us." "I care about us too," Elena said softly. "Then let me do this right. Let me give you everything you deserve: security, safety, a home, a family." Dante pulled her closer. "Let me love you the way you should be loved." Elena looked up at him. This powerful man who'd become gentle for her, who'd learned to laugh again because of her, who trusted her with the most precious thing in his world. "Okay," she whispered. "Yes." Dante kissed her, deep and slow, like they had all the time in the world. Because they did. They finally did. 6 months later, Elena stood in Dante's office, looking at the wall behind his desk. The expensive painting was gone. In its place was a crayon drawing. 3 stick figures, one tall with dark hair, one medium-sized with a braid, one small with a big smile. They were holding hands. Above them, in Leo's careful letters, it said, "My family." "It's perfect, isn't it?" Dante said from the doorway. He came up behind Elena, wrapping his arms around her waist. "It's perfect," she agreed. "Leo drew it at school. His teacher said it was for people who are important to you." Dante kissed her temple. "He drew us." Elena turned in his arms. "We really are a family now, aren't we?" "We really are," Dante smiled. "And I wouldn't change a single thing, Not the fear, not the danger, not the chaos, because it all led me to you. Dante Moretti, are you getting sentimental? Maybe you've made me soft. Alina laughed and kissed him. Good, you needed to be soft. They stood there in his office, holding each other, while outside the estate Leo played in the garden under the watchful eyes of guards who would protect him with their lives. The pool where Elena had saved him was still there, sparkling in the sun, but now it had a fence and locks and safety equipment. And on weekends, Elena taught Leo to swim. Dante watched from the terrace, his heart in his throat every time but trusting Elena to keep their son safe. Because that's what they were now, not a mafia boss and a former maid, not a guardian and her charge, but a mother and a father and a son. A family built from tragedy and fear and impossible courage. The kind of family that would last forever. Thank you for watching this incredible story of courage and love. Now I want to know, if you were Alina, would you have stayed with the mafia boss or run away to safety? Drop your answer and your location in the comments below. Subscribe for more thrilling stories.